tell my secrets soon as we done.
Midday, and this is Africa Update coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on Channel Africa from an African perspective. I'm Lulu Gaboo. I'm in studio with Matapelo Mahape, Msibudi Makura, and Chanduko Legege. Coming up in this hour, a Mozambican on the Scenic Most Wanted database has been killed in South Africa, and the M23 group from the Democratic Republic of Congo has slammed President Felix Tshisekedi's decision not to attend the African Peace and Security Dialogue in South Africa. But first up, the news with Matapelo Mahapi and our sports headlines with Msibudi Makura.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu, and good afternoon. The Democratic Republic of Congo has accused former South African President Thabo Mbeki of trying to whitewash former DRC President Joseph Kabila's controversial legacy. The country declined the invitation to participate in the second Thabo Mbeki Foundation annual Africa Peace and Security Dialogue taking place in Magaliesburg in Gauteng, South Africa. Prominent African leaders, scholars and policymakers have gathered to discuss current peace and security challenges facing the continent. The dialogue is scheduled to finish on Saturday, according to geopolitical analyst Aaron Ngambi. Mbeki is being accused of being impartial and close to former DRC President Joseph Kabila, who's facing a treason trial. The DRC has said the peace talks are a waste of time.
The government in Kinshasa has said they will not attend, but not only that, they have stopped some of the opposition leaders to attend these peace talks in South Africa. We are talking about opposition political leaders whose passports were confiscated at the airport trying to go to attend these peace talks. Government of President Tshisekedi thinks that Thabo Mbeki is more sympathetic towards Rwanda, but also they feel that they're making an attempt to whitewash the legacy of Joseph Kabila and basically paint him as someone who wants to champion peace in these difficult times.
And South Africa is hosting the G20 Research and Innovation Working Group Hackathon, a global initiative bringing together investors to tackle pressing challenges linked to climate change, disaster risk and urban resilience. One of the key partners is the African Open Science Platform based at the National Research Foundation, which plays a central role in driving open data, digital collaboration and scientific innovation across the continent. Dr. Tsiamo Motshekwa, Director of the African Open Science Platform, has highlighted the significance of this initiative and Africa's contribution.
I think everybody knows that climate change is here. It's very critical that countries, continents, and globally we are prepared to be able to live amidst obviously manifestation of these disasters. I think our preparedness is very critical, which is why I think you'll find that at various platforms, including on a global multilateral stage, there's coordination to see how we can advance together to tackle some of these challenges. And indeed, there is opportunities through collaborations and obviously through the use of technology to be able to mitigate and to be able to be resistant and resilient amidst the manifestation of some of these challenges.
Authorities in the Eastern Cape province of South Africa have called on communities to report a teenage pregnancy. The call comes from the release of the Provincial Health Department's report on teenage pregnancy. It's revealed that between April and July this year, 117 young girls between the ages of 10 and 14 years gave birth at the province's public hospitals. Several rape cases have been opened, but the provincial government has expressed concern at the withdrawal of 3 cases. Health MEC Ntandokazi Kapa explains her department's intervention.
We have developed a standard operation where we're saying if anyone who's at the age of 10 or 14 comes to our facility pregnant, it is the responsibility of those that are encountering with them to report that even at the head office so that we take necessary steps as the department. But again, in terms of prevention, We have established youth zones in our facilities where we employ young nurses so that they can be able to interact with the young ones, so that they interact with people that they are comfortable with.
Meanwhile, the Center for Reproductive Rights says that teenage pregnancy is a major crisis in Africa, with sub-Saharan Africa having some of the world's highest rates, though significant variations exist within and between countries. This issue is driven by a combination of socio-economic factors, including poverty and low education levels, as well as lack of access to contraceptives and comprehensive sex education, while other factors included gender-based violence, rape and incest. Niger, Mali and Angola have the highest rates of teenage pregnancies. And although Africa is home to a huge proportion of the world's languages, many are missing when it comes to the development of artificial intelligence, AI. This is both an issue of a lack of investment and readily available data. Most AI tools, such as ChatGPT, used today are trained on English as well as other European and Chinese languages. But as many African languages are mostly spoken rather than written down, there is a lack of text to train AI on. But it's changing. The Africa Next Voices project, handed by the Gates Foundation, has released that it thought it to be the largest known data set of African languages. University of Pretoria Prof. Vukosi Marivete, who worked on the project, says the data will open access, allowing developers to build tools that translate, transcribe and respond in African languages. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Matapela Mahape.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And coming up in your sports news this hour, neighbours, that is Lesotho as well as South Africa, will face off in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. It's match day -1 today, while the US Open semi-finals have been confirmed. Details coming up at the bottom of the hour.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Well, thank you to Matapelo Mohapi with our news update and Msibudi Makura with our sports headlines. It is 12:08 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the SABC Plus app, available on the Apple and Google Play stores. And join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 at 406-9126 #Africa Updates, and let us know which country you're in. And if you have any stories that you'd like us to highlight or to focus on, send us an email. It is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call on +2711 714 4459.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Well, today on #Africa Update Ask, we focus on the M23 group from the Democratic Republic of Congo having slammed President Felix Tshisekedi's decision not to attend the African Peace and Security Dialogue in South Africa. Now, our question to you today is, do you believe Tshisekedi should have attended the dialogue, and what role could the dialogue have played to end the war between the M23 and government? Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa, and send us your voice notes and comments on +2763 at 406-9126 #Africa Update Us.
AUSISA, the Association of Water and Sanitation Institution of South Africa, is a platform uniting Africa's water professionals. This November, Africa leads the conversation on water and sanitation. Join global and African leaders at the AUSISA Africa and Global South Dialogue 2025 from the 9th till the 12th of November at the Emperor's Palace, Johannesburg. From policy innovation, this is where action meets collaboration for a water-secure future. Register today at ausisa-watersan-dialogue.org or follow at Ausisa on social media. Ausisa, working together for sustainable water and sanitation security in Africa. Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update, only on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
It is 11 after 12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. A Mozambican on the SENIC Most Wanted database has been killed in South Africa. Our SENIC is responsible for serious organized crime investigations in that country. The suspect, who goes by the nickname of Dollar Man, is a wanted kidnapping kingpin in both South Africa and Mozambique. Following a shootout between the South African police and the Mozambican national, an Indian businessman was reunited with his family following his kidnapping, in which the Mozambican national is believed to have been the alleged mastermind. And to speak to us further, we are joined on the line by the South African Police Services spokesperson, Brigadier Atlenda Mate. Brigadier, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
A very good afternoon to you and to your listeners.
Now, Brigadier, tell us exactly how everything unfolded. We got bits and pieces, with regards to the ramming of a police car by the kidnapper and so on. Just talk to us about exactly how it unfolded.
So we have been following this kidnapper quite closely for quite some time. He is wanted in a number of kidnappings, as you've rightly indicated. He is wanted by the Mozambican government, and there is a warrant of his arrest. He's actually listed on the SADNIC wanted persons database of the Mozambique National Criminal Investigation Service. He is wanted in that country for a spate of kidnappings, especially where ransom demands are being made. In the country, we are linking him with at least 5 where businessmen were targeted, kidnapped, and so on. Some were still in captivity, but yesterday, after we managed to corner him, he then rammed into a police vehicle, started shooting at police, and police returned fire. He was then fatally wounded, but police then proceeded to search for the kidnapped businessman, and after midnight, he was then found in Alexandra in some shacks there, and he was then safely reunited with his family. So we can confirm that this wanted Mozambican kingpin, who was actually found to have 2 ID documents, one Mozambique, one SA, and he was fatally wounded during a confrontation with the SAPS anti-kidnapping task team.
Brigadier, you mentioned that there are other businessmen who have also been kidnapped. Is there any indication as to where they may be? Have they been reunited with their families? What's the situation on that front?
So there is a few that are still active, but we have managed to rescue some of the victims, about 3 of them. One was in Roodepoort, one was in Pretoria West, one was in Langlaagte, and then the Bononi case is the recent one where we were searching for these kidnapped businessmen.
And what has been the reaction or response to this arrest and the death of this kingpin by your Mozambican counterparts? They've obviously seen reports on all news channels.
Yes, I think, for them it's also unfortunate that he has died, because they would need him to answer to crimes that he had committed. But we have explained that we had no choice, because he was shooting at our law enforcement officers, and our law enforcement officers returned fire. As you know, on this coming weekend, we are remembering and paying tribute to about 27 police officers that died in the line of duty. 26 of them are male, 1 female. So it's quite fortunate that none of our members were injured, because a lot of our members, they pass on in the line of duty during these attacks and so on. So in any case, our main goal is to arrest the perpetrator, because we need answers, we need to provide closure. But at times you find that these suspects, they are really brazen, and they then undermine the authority of the state, and they start shooting at the police.
Now, with the cases that are still open, are there any indications or directions as to who the people that he was working with are, and which would help with your investigations going forward?
So, in all these cases, we know that it's quite a large group of a syndicate, because you have your spotters that would follow the victim. They would spot his moves, calculate his direction and footsteps and so on. You would get the ringleader who wouldn't be on the ground, but he would give directions and instructions on what must be done. Then you will have those that are in captivity, taking care of the kidnapped victim, feeding him and so on, keeping him alive so that the families can pay the ransom, so that he can be released and so on. So what we do urge the members of the public is that we've got the expertise in the SAPS and the capabilities to hunt down these criminals. Do not negotiate with the kidnappers directly. We've got hostage negotiators in the SAPS that are highly trained, that can do that job on behalf of the families or the friends of victims. So immediately when a case comes to your attention, report it immediately.
Brigadier, just in wrapping up, with Alexandra is huge. Did the neighbors even have any idea of what was happening in that particular house?
I don't think so. In Gauteng, and I don't know if it happens in many other places, everyone just minds their own business, which is wrong. We need to really inculcate a culture of knowing your neighbor, know who stays around you, so that we protect each other. In such cases, you are able to then pick up suspicious-looking activities and so on. So we do encourage that know your neighbor, know your neighborhood, so that we create safer spaces for everyone, safer environment for everyone to live in.
Well, Brigadier Mate, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. That's South African Police Services spokesperson Brigadier Atlinda Mate joining us on the line.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
The former Mozambican President Joaquim Chissano has sounded a strong warning over the growing threat of post-election violence across Africa. Speaking on Wednesday at the second annual Thabo Mbeki Africa Peace and Security Dialogue underway in Magaliesburg, a small town in the Gauteng province of South Africa, Chissano said the credibility of elections on the continent is increasingly under pressure, with rising accusations of fraud and vote rigging sparking violent clashes and civilian casualties. Channel Africa's reporter Michael Mbewe has this.
The annual African Peace and Security Dialogue, organized by the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, serves a vital role in advancing peace, security, and development across the African continent. Its overarching purpose is to act as a high-level, inclusive platform that catalyzes actionable, African-led responses to the region's most pressing challenges. The objectives are to provide a platform for African political and economic leaders, scholars and policymakers to deliberate on peace and security issues, encourage critical thinking, the sharing of best practices and development of practical continent-driven solutions to peace and security challenges. In his address, former Mozambican President Joaquim Chissano has sounded alarm on elections in Africa.
One area that we should focus on is the holding of credible elections. Post-elections violence has been on the rise in Africa, underlying the volatility of electoral processes in our continent. We have seen a significant rise in challenges to the way electoral processes are conducted in Africa, with accusations and electoral fraud and vote rigging. In this environment, violent clashes occur with countless victims amongst the populations. We must work to reverse this worrisome trend.
Chisano says inclusive dialogue on political participation and transparency are the backbone of holding credible elections to avoid catastrophic acts of post-elections violence in Africa.
Inclusive dialogue on political participation and transparent electoral processes is the way to go, with a view to conducting credible and violence-free elections. The root causes of conflicts are complex. However, the persistent elusiveness of peace should not justify inaction or a neglect. We must invest heavily on peace building, one based on a profound understanding of local, national, international context. Addressing these root causes requires a proactive methodology, fostering dialogue and promoting peace within society.
He believes that peace is sustainable when built upon equality, dialogue, human development, and trustworthy governance. By addressing poverty, investing in people, honoring dissenting voices, and ensuring institutional integrity, societies can achieve lasting stability and unity.
And to meet the basic needs of our populations, we must strive to ensure an equitable distribution of resources, to promote equality and dispel local grievances stemming from a perception of marginalization and exclusion. We must be more tolerant and accommodative of different points of view and political standings. We must strive to achieve high levels of human capital essential to sustaining peace, and we must win the fight against corruption and inefficiency as a way of enhancing confidence and trust in institutions, which in turn help to create peaceful societies.
The chairperson for Thabo Mbeki Foundation, Geraldine Fraser Muleketi, gave a context to what this dialogue is all about.
The second annual African Peace and Security Dialogue is not merely a conference. It's a strategic convening, a forum of Pan-African agency shaped by a generation that refuses to inherit the burden of unresolved violence, silenced communities, and broken institutions. So, what is the strategic vision? What is this African Peace and Security Dialogue? What does it aspire to be? The APSD is a high-level diplomatic platform rooted in Pan-African values and driven by a pragmatic search for African-led solutions to peace and security challenges.
She emphasized that the dialogue should help reposition Africa not as a site of intervention, but a diplomatic actor in shaping continental and global order. The aim is to go beyond the limited goal of silencing the guns and to lay the groundwork for sustained peace, democratic renewal, and inclusive governance.
Convened under the auspices of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, the dialogue seeks to reposition Africa not as a site of intervention by others, and I'd like to emphasize that point, not as a site of intervention by others, but as a diplomatic actor in helping to shape global and continental order. It's moved beyond the rhetoric of silencing the guns in Africa to building conditions for sustained peace, democratic renewal, and inclusive governance.
Michael Mbewe, Channel Africa News in Magaliesburg.
And still to come on the show, we will be speaking to the head of the delegation of M23 who is attending the dialogue. So do stay tuned and hear what they have to say, especially in reaction to the fact that the DRC's President Felix Tshisekedi did not come through for this dialogue. It is 25 after 12 Central African time.
Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
Our healthcare workers for Palestine, South Africa are out in protest today, gathering outside hospitals across the country. Demonstrations are taking place at 16 hospitals in 6 cities as medical professionals call for an end to what they describe as Israel's weaponization of hunger in Gaza, while also demanding protection for healthcare workers and facilities under attack. The action, they say, also highlights the broader need to safeguard healthcare in Palestine, South Africa, and globally. We are now joined on the line by Dr. Fazana Are-Stern from Healthcare Workers for Palestine, South Africa, to unpack today's protests and the message behind them. Dr. Stern, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you so much for inviting me here again.
Now, Dr. Stern, what is the central message behind today's protest outside hospitals?
All
right, Dr. Stern, I'm going to ask Tracy to try to call you on a better connection because we can barely hear you. That's Dr. Fazana Are-Stern from Healthcare Workers for Palestine, South Africa, and she's about to let us know exactly why they're out in protest. And Dr. Stern, are you back on the line with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that sounds a lot better. All right, so let's stick in that spot, and then let's unpack exactly why you've decided to protest outside hospitals.
So most of our members are healthcare workers, and it's very difficult for them to actually leave their place of work in order to go to another site to protest. Also, hospitals are places that have good transport networks. They're close to taxi ranks and bus stops. So this allows more people to actually attend the protest. And finally, we use hospitals as sites of healing and to promote health. And all of our members are very passionate about what they do and passionate about patient advocacy. And this is one of the ways they can use their identity as medical professionals to further this cause.
And what kind of response or action are you getting or you're seeing or hoping to see from the South African government and the international community? Because your approach today is totally different to anything else that we've seen.
So we're hoping the South African government will do more in their efforts to engage with this issue, particularly with supporting initiatives to promote boycott, divestment and sanctions. We really do want them to stop, in particular, the sale of coal and trade with Israel in terms of energy supply. And in terms of the international community, I think we're getting great engagement. People are doing this all over the world. People are protesting the genocide, particularly the intentional starvation that they're seeing. And this movement is actually gaining traction. And a lot of it was stimulated by the medical profession and has now expanded into broader areas of society. So I think overall the engagement has been overwhelmingly positive.
And beyond today's protests, how do you plan to continue raising awareness and solidarity for healthcare workers in Palestine?
So, of course, we're going to continue our advocacy and our education initiatives. I would also like to draw attention for and create support for the Freedom Sumud flotilla that has a contingent of 10 South Africans aboard this flotilla that is attempting to break the illegal Israeli siege of Gaza and to provide medicines and baby formula and essential services to the people of Gaza who are trapped within that enclave. And we'd like to see more support from our government and from civil society in supporting initiatives that are peaceful, that are led by civilians who are trying to help other human beings. So we just want this movement to create more of a groundswell and get more momentum. And we'd really like people to support initiatives like this that put non-violent, peaceful resistance and economic sanction against states that are not complying with international law.
And just, complying with the rules of the hospitals in the country, what sort of reaction are you getting from hospital management with regards to the protest action?
there has been a bit of misinformation and a little bit of some scare tactics or intimidation tactics that have been used. We are attempting to open up channels for communication with management of certain hospitals. As healthcare workers, we are still South African citizens, and we have a constitutional right to protest publicly against issues that affect society. And the law is very clear in supporting our rights. And, we understand that we do have responsibilities to patients, and we do have responsibilities to clinical care and our employers. But our constitutional right to protest is enshrined, and if we can take care of our responsibilities and protest in a way that is befitting of the medical profession, we should still be allowed to have our say in how our country works and have our say in issues that affect us as a healthcare body and society in general. So we have opened up channels of engagement, and things have been looking quite positive, and we hope to continue having productive conversations about this.
Dr. Stern, always a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. That's Dr. Fazana Ari Stern from Healthcare Workers for Palestine, South Africa, joining us on the line. It is 12:30 and our news headlines up next with Matapelo Mahape.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Your headlines this hour. The Democratic Republic of Congo has accused former South African President Thabo Mbeki of whitewashing Joseph Kabila's legacy, denying participation in the second Thabo Mbeki Foundation annual Africa Peace and Security Dialogue in South Africa. Meanwhile, the DRC claims the peace talks are a waste of time. And severe weather and difficult terrain are hampering rescue efforts in Sudan's Darfur region, where a landslide is feared to have wiped out an entire village. The head of the local emergency council says that full-scale operations were impossible with the limited resources available. And Israel has rejected a new Hamas offer of a comprehensive deal to end the war in Gaza and release all Israeli hostages. More details on these and other stories at top of the hour.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective. Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Musibudi Makura with your latest sports news at the hour. So South Africa will seek to inch ever closer to a FIFA World Cup qualification as Bafana face off with Lesotho at the Free State Stadium in Bloemfontein in South Africa's Free State province tomorrow. So kick-off for that game is at 6 p.m. Central African time. Lesotho sit 5th place in Group C of the FIFA World Cup African qualifiers and have won 1 match, drawn 3 and lost 2, while Bafana sit top of Group C in the African qualifiers with about 13 points from 6 fixtures. The group leaders are followed by Rwanda as well as Benin, who both have 8 points each. South Africa has won each of its last 3 qualifiers, beating the likes of Zimbabwe, Lesotho as well as Benin by a margin of 2 goals. Onto this now. Former Bafana midfielder Relengwe Letsulenyane has opened up about his decision to join Matabele FC in Botswana as he looks to carve a path for himself as a head coach. The 43-year-old has been unveiled as the Botswana Premier League outfit's new coach in what was unveiled earlier this week, having penned a 2-year deal to lead the new project for a 4-year-old club. As he served as the assistant of the South African national under-17 team, the under-20 team, and most recently Bafana's Chan squad, detailed the 2-year journey to Gaborone.
It has been an ongoing conversation. I think the past 2 years there's been conversations of me coming to Botswana, especially after I completed my A license FA, because I did it here. So but ever since there's been that conversation and of possibilities of me coming this side, obviously things did not really materialize because of whatever reason. Around December, January, again this year, it same thing happened. Conversations happened, but it never materialized.
Now, the prospect of joining the club was initially discussed in July when Yeye was meant to join for the start of the pre-season, but the timing was not ideal. He elaborates on that.
And then after the clash of legends this year, the conversation again started, obviously with our guy this side, Nick, he's our guy. He obviously mentioned a few teams that are not having a coach at that time. And he then spoke with the owner of my team now. They know each other. And then we then took over the conversation, obviously myself and Shaba. Initially, I was supposed to be this side during pre-season, late July.
On to some rugby news now. Eden Park, for the very first time in a test on Saturday, will be the fulfillment of a boyhood dream. The 22-year-old has already faced the All Blacks at Twickenham as well as Cape Town, but never in New Zealand. So we're speaking about Canon Moody, who admits now that the stakes raise the pressure, but also says the Boks are locked in on this task.
The magnitude of the match is there's going to be pressure. I think, All Blacks have a lot to play for. I mean, obviously the record at Eden Park, Ari Sevilla's 100th game, there's a lot on line for them. So I think the pressure of the game is definitely going to be there. But like I said, we know what we need to do. And like Bowen said, we focus on doing the job on Saturday. And I think all of that is just external factors that we need to take in the court. But yeah, the game is very important to us, and we will do everything we need to get a result on Saturday.
And finally, Novak Djokovic said he's hopeful he will be fit enough to put up a proper fight against Carlos Alcaraz. That's after setting up a Titanic US Open semi-final with the Spaniard. The 38-year-old Serbian star kept his bid for a record-equaling 25th Grand Slam title on track with a 4-set victory over Taylor Fritz of the USA on Tuesday. Now, Djokovic's 6-3, 7-5, 3-6 and 6-4 victory over the last American left in the men's draw sent him into a record-equaling 14th US Open semi-final. He will now have 2 precious days to recover in time to prepare for the highly anticipated tussle with the red-hot Alcaraz on Friday. So the upcoming encounter is the 5th at a Grand Slam, but first at Flushing Meadows. Djokovic has won all 3 past meetings on the hard courts. Well, that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you. Good afternoon. With your business report, I am Chandruko Ligege. The Development Bank of Southern Africa has presented a strong set of financial results, with recording earnings up by $282 million for the year ending the 31st of March 2025. Despite the depressed macroeconomic landscape characterized by lower global economic growth and geopolitical tensions, DBSA achieved a net profit increase of 14%. Speaking at the results presentation in Center North of Johannesburg, DBSA CEO Boitumelo Mosako says the bank remains committed to its mandate of driving economic growth and sustainable development through infrastructure support.
What have we achieved? 91.3 infrastructure, catalyzation and development. What do I mean by that? As I have said, we do know that as a development finance institution, we can't do it alone.
Aspen Pharmacare's manufacturing division aims to grow profit by 2027 by commercializing an insulin deal and producing GLP-1 drugs after the ending of a major contract led to a full-year loss of $63 million. Aspen says the after-tax loss in the year ended the 30th of June compared to a year ago profit of $248 million, while citing asset impairments of $231 million for the loss. Group revenue edged 1% higher in constant currency terms to $2.4 billion. In other news, South African-based engineering and mining contractor Murray and Roberts Limited has confirmed that its business rescue practitioners have secured an additional $4.5 million in post-commencement finance. This additional facility builds on the prior post-commencement finance support secured since the company entered voluntary business rescue late last year. The transaction is expected to safeguard approximately 2,800 jobs across its businesses, with a particular emphasis on preserving South African jobs in cementation Africa. Murray and Roberts Holdings announced in April that it would be left commercially insolvent due to ongoing business rescue proceedings at Murray and Roberts. Business rescue practitioner from Metis Strategic Advisors, Josh Cunliffe.
This facility builds on earlier funding that's been instrumental in stabilizing the Murray & Roberts Limited business rescue proceedings. It's allowed us time to develop a business rescue plan in conjunction with affected parties, to secure the approval and adoption of that plan, and to advance its implementation.
Angola's President João Lourenço has called on Angolans, especially the youth, to be at the center of transformation as they represent the future of the oil and gas industry. Lourenço says this at the 6th edition of the Angola Oil and Gas Conference that is taking place in Luanda. In his opening address of the conference, he emphasized the country's push to diversify its energy sector.
Queremos parcerias que contribuam para o bem comum.
We want partnerships that contribute to the common good, to the empowerment of our communities, and to the sustainable development of the country.
Around 3,000 people at Britain's Lloyds Banking Group, judged to be among the bottom 5%, will find themselves considered for possible dismissal. Lloyds experts about half that number will lose their jobs unless their work improves, while adding there was no fixed target for layoffs from its 63,000 strong workforce. Along with other banks of Britain, Lloyds has reduced its high street presence, saying in January it would shut 136 branches as more customers take up digital banking. Let's have a look at financial indicators at this hour. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 Naira 534 in Botswana. 13 Pula 31 Kenya. The dollar is 128 shilling 495 in Zambia. 23 Kwacha 73. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is at 5 real 46, in Russia 8 rubles 790, India 88 rupee 59, China 71.14, South Africa 17 rand 67 cents. $1 is 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Commodities, gold is at $3,538, platinum at $1,401 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil $66.99 a barrel. That is all for now. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chandruko Ligege.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Hi there. Do you want to elevate your business and give it a voice in South Africa and Africa as a whole? Well, in that case, let Channel Africa make this a possibility. Channel Africa is willing to advertise your business for as little as 30,000 rands or $1,719.18. To get access to these great rates, send all requests to mukwena@sabc.co.za. That's MOKOENATA at SABC. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender-based violence GBV zikuwononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete. Koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhuzidwa funani chithandizo. Chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, okhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Kutenga kuchokera ku SABC.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
It is 12:46 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa, you can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 as 406-9126 hashtag Africa Update, and let us know which country you're in. And if you have any stories that you'd like us to highlight or to focus on, send us an email. It is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call on +2711 714 4459.
Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update, only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Wewe ni mjasiriamali unajihusisha na biashara ya kuuza dawa. Jaribu kutuambia kwanza, kwa nini ulianzisha biashara hiyo?
Tutasema kwamba maisha ya kila siku ni kwamba mtu anapashwa kuwa na maisha ya kuweza kujitegemea. Usitegemee kuajiriwa, lakini utegemee kujiajiri, na baadaye utaweza ukaajiri wengine. Na hiyo ilinipa msukumo mkubwa kwa kuweza kujiajiri na kampuni hii kwa ajili ya kuweza kuwasaidia wale ambao wanahangaika zaidi.
Unauza aina gani ya dawa?
Unasema ni dawa, lakini kwetu sisi tunaita kama vile ni pipi, ambayo ni virutubisho ambavyo vinakwenda kusaidia kwa wale ambao wanatatizwa na aina tofauti ya magonjwa.
Virutubisho hivyo sasa vinatibu magonjwa gani?
Virutubisho hivi vinatunza magonjwa kama vile ya kisukari, shinikizo la damu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati. Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Wewe ni mjasiriamali unajihusisha na biashara ya kuuza dawa. Jaribu kutuambia kwanza, kwa nini ulianzisha biashara hiyo?
Tutasema kwamba maisha ya kila siku ni kwamba mtu anapashwa kuwa na maisha ya kuweza kujitegemea. Usitegemee kuajiriwa, lakini utegemee kujiajiri, na baadaye utaweza ukaajiri wengine. Na hiyo ilinipa msukumo mkubwa kwa kuweza kujiajiri na kampuni hii kwa ajili ya kuweza kuwasaidia wale ambao wanahangaika zaidi.
Unauza aina gani ya dawa?
Unasema ni dawa, lakini kwetu sisi tunaita kama vile ni pipi, ambayo ni virutubisho ambavyo vinakwenda kusaidia kwa wale ambao wanatatizwa na aina tofauti ya magonjwa.
Virutubisho hivyo sasa vinatibu magonjwa gani?
Virutubisho hivi vinatunza magonjwa kama vile ya kisukari, shinikizo la damu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 12:49 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Now, the M23 group from the Democratic Republic of Congo has slammed President Felix Tshisekedi's decision not to attend the African Peace and Security Dialogue in South Africa. The dialogue is an attempt to achieve peace on the African continent. The Eastern DRC is one of the main issues that is expected to be discussed. And for more on this, we are joined via WhatsApp video call by the head of delegation of the M23, that's Lawrence Kanyuka. Lawrence, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me today.
Now, Lawrence, why is this dialogue important for you as the M23 and the continent as a whole?
Yeah, because first of all, this problem, conflict in the DRC is political. So there's no military solution to this conflict. So we thank very much His Excellency President Thabo Mbeki for this initiative and his foundation to have bring everybody together to have African-led solution to this conflict, which has long taken time and killed so many people in the DRC, in East African community as a whole.
Now, the belief is that African leaders or Africans themselves must be able to come up with solutions with regards to conflict on the continent. You've slammed President Felix Tshisekedi of not attending this peace and security summit, dialogue rather, for Africa as a whole. Are there any reasons for him not attending this? And do you believe that there could be a solution that comes from within Africa, especially for the DRC?
Yes, there's a solution that can come from Africa. Africa has been long ago working together to solve problems. But President Tshisekedi running away from this peace conference shows exactly what kind of person he is. This president of DRC, Tshisekedi, is a warmongering president. He doesn't want peace. He wants to fight every single day. You remember, he went all over the place to get mercenary to bring them in the DRC, get foreign countries to send troops to fight us, Congolese, who are asking for existence. So he's actually using his warmongering plan to extend our people, using ethnic cleansing in the DRC. So running away from this peace conference here in South Africa shows exactly what kind of person is Mr. Tshisekedi. He says he doesn't want to be distracted by foreign dialogue, but you recall very well from geography that Doha is not in the DRC. Washington is not in the DRC. So this shows that Mr. Tshisekedi rejects all the peace process. He's actually bringing and making so many movement of troops. He has established a HQ in Uvira, where he coordinates all the attacks from different densely populated area. He sent all the troops and drones and kamikaze drones to kill our civilian populations. So we thank President Thabo Mbeki that this forum should actually underline concrete measure for us to have a peace, finally, a last long peace in the DRC.
Now, Lawrence, I'd like you to take us into your confidence, especially when it comes to the belief or the sentiment that Rwanda's President Paul Kagame is supporting the M23 group or rebels with whether it's arms and financially. Bring us into your confidence. Is this the case?
No, it's not the case. I'm telling you, first of all, we are not Rwandese, we are Congolese. We should be known that this conflict are not starting today. This conflict started long ago, over 30 years, since the genocide in Rwanda in 1994, where the FDLR, then were called Interahamwe, committed genocide against the Tutsis in Rwanda. From there, they crossed over to Congo and established themselves in Congo, start killing all the Tutsis they found in Congo, and sending them to exile. So this problem is long ago started. This problem is not today. So Rwanda is not supporting the DRC, the M23, or to say AFC M23, is not supporting this group. We are Congolese. We started establishing ourselves, asking the government to recognize our right. He's calling us foreigners. is using hate speech all over the country. Everyone with long nose or anyone who's tall, they judge them by the facial. People have been killed. Cannibalism act happen every single day in DRC. So today we're saying to the world that they should leave Rwanda alone. Mr. Tshisekedi said it that he wants to change, regime change in Rwanda. He wanted to support Rwandese to go overthrow President Kagame. He said it on TV. Everybody knows about it. So Rwanda set up security measure alongside their border. It doesn't come to Congo to us. Why they have to say all the time is Rwanda? We have the right. When I'm here with the delegations, is Rwanda here present? Is us Congolese are here present, pleading for our families, pleading for our community? We have people in Minembwe that have been killed every single day by Mr. Tshisekedi in broad daylight. Nobody says a thing about it.
Now, Lawrence, what sort of reaction are you getting? What sort of discussions are being tabled today in this dialogue? And what are you hoping when we leave South Africa? What will be in black and white, whether agreements and eventually, hopefully, that President Tshisekedi would also be a part of it somehow. With technology today, anything is possible.
Well, we would like Mr. Tshisekedi to be here or to follow this forum of peace, because what's happening here, what has been underlined here is very important. Here, yesterday and today, we talked about the root causes of conflict. The root causes of conflict is very vital to solve any conflict in the DRC, because over 30 years in the DRC, the root causes never been addressed. That's why we have so many cycles of war. Now, this time around, we're discussing about the root causes. What caused the root causes? Can we tackle the root causes and see how we can establish peace in the DRC and in Africa as a whole?
And in bringing that question up, what sort of solutions are being brought to the table?
The solution is the dialogue, diplomacy, because this conflict doesn't have any military solution. It's a political problem that needs to be solved. But Mr. Tshisekedi doesn't have political will to solve this problem. He wants war.
Do you believe that there is obviously a major breakdown of trust between the government and the M23, and what needs to happen quickly, especially for the benefit of the people of the DRC?
Yes, we don't have any problem, basically. We went to Kinshasa. We offered to surrender ourselves unconditionally. That was in end of September 2020. We spent 14 months. I myself was among the delegations in Kinshasa, where we spent 14 months negotiating with the DRC government and agreed with Mr. Tshisekedi we should start the surrounding process, and we agreed that we should form some unit military that will fight against all the negative forces, foreign forces that are killing our population. So 2 weeks before the deadline, we started this surrender process. Mr. Tshisekedi came to the meeting point and started shooting. This is how the war started. Mr. Tshisekedi never respected signature. He never respected any commitment he made. So it's very hard for us to move on with Mr. Tshisekedi in this way. He is actually the problem himself. He should be a solution as well at the same time, to come in this kind of forum to discuss, for him to see on the eyes of other people what is the problem. Because we need to solve this problem politically. We've been asking all along, we need a dialogue, we need a reconciliation. But Mr. Tshisekedi doesn't allow this to happen. This is the problem.
Lawrence, it's been a pleasure chatting to you, and thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. And hopefully you will visit our studios one of the days when you are here, and we have a longer discussion, because this has been in the news, in the spotlight for many years, for as long as we can remember. It's something that we love to unpack for our viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
That was ahead of the delegation of M23 Lawrence Kanyuka joining us on the line. Well, it is, I guess, how we wrap up. I know Tebogo Kuleni is here, and I guess this is how we're wrapping up. Is it coming through? Yes, okay. We're wrapping up Africa Update in that manner. M23 head of delegation Lawrence Kanyuka ending that discussion. He is part of the African Peace and Security Dialogue that is underway in South Africa, and it is led by the former president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, and with a number of delegates there. And unfortunately, the DRC's president, Felix Tshisekedi, not coming through, and he is being called out on that. And thank you to our team, Tracy Bumgard, our producer, our technical operator, Ndando Lutuli, our social media talent, Butelezi. And thank you for joining us. Continue with us on our social media platforms. And don't forget to send us your views on our question today, where we are asking you if you believe Tshisekedi should have attended the dialogue, and what role could the dialogue have played to end the war between the M23 and government. As you heard, Lawrence believes that dialogue is the best route and Africa can resolve these issues. That's how we end it. Bye-bye.
SABC News. The African Perspective.